XRP Arby. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Happy September the 1st. Absolutely crazy, to think that, we're already into the month of September. Of course, this is the last month of Q3. Yes, you've heard that correct. This is the last month for Q3 of 2025. And, we're seeing something very interesting playing out as far as the broader market is concerned. Over the last 1.5 hours, to be exact, we've seen a major uptick from the key neckline of the 23.6 FIP support line on Bitcoin up to $109,000 right now as of recording this up. So we're going to talk about all of that, talk about XRP, what to expect. Obviously, we're still in a weekend. It's a long weekend here in North America. That's something we want to keep in mind and factor in when we're analyzing these prices. But as of recording this update, as you can see, I'm showing you guys the last 1 hour time frame. We're seeing, quite a bit of green across the board. So, a nice bounce right now, but we still need to look for more confirmations before we start getting excited. But looking at the price of XRP, $2.80, was able to reclaim back above that range. We're still down about 1.3% over the last 24 hours in USD and about 1.8% in Bitcoin compared to valuation, $166.6 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume approaching about $6 billion as of recording this update. But as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So take a look at this. Bitcoin closed August with a negative return on 6.49%. Will Bitcoin, flip in green for the month of September? Will the entire market do that? We'll see what happens. Well, what I want you guys to keep in mind is August, historically speaking, does tend to be a bearish month, but we actually had a great month overall, but it ended up still being negative as far as the monthly counter close happens. But if you look at the year of 2025, we've only seen 3 months as of now that, finished on red. February was one, March, and then of course, August. September, historically speaking as well, if you're looking, it is a bearish month, historically speaking. But with that being said, if a rate cut were to happen, I think, this really puts us in a great spot and we could actually turn this month in green, which I think if the rate cut happens, I'm projecting, green close rather than red. But let me know your personal thoughts down below as to what you guys think. But take a look at this. A reminder, Ethereum ETFs recorded a total net inflow of almost $3.9 billion in August, while Bitcoin saw an outflow of $750 million. And that sums it up. When you take a look at the dominance index, that tells us everything we need to know as far as what's really going on. But take a look at this. Growing in crypto, Nigeria was the third fastest growing crypto country in the world for crypto transactions volumes year over year. So big things happening. And we know, the connection, of course. Remember, August 2025, the Central Bank of Nigeria orders full ISO 20022 migration across all systems by October of 2025, which is, of course, next month. All these, central banks are going to eventually, make it mandatory, which of course is very exciting. And this is where, financial institutions can actually tap into blockchain technologies and, blockchains that are already ISO compliant. And that itself is beyond exciting. Not many people realize, the potential of that. But when you really dig deep and really research as to what this means, we've shared on this channel so much as to, what this really means. And if you put XRP, as far as the native token is concerned, when you take a look at it, you really see where that comes into play. But let's move forward. Take a look at this. BRICS Pay, Ripple, and XRP standard chart. It connects both worlds. Integrated with BRICS Pay for cross-BRICS payments, active partner in Ripple networking using blockchain solutions. This dual role position standard charted as a bridge linking BRICS Pay to Ripple Tech, with XRP as the settlement currency. So again, not exactly, quote unquote, like connected like right away, but, the BRICS Pay, so pretty much like standard charted, is going to be like that bridge, kind of giving these two entities to, kind of link together. And it's kind of goes back to the Fed now as well. If you kind of dig deep into that, that's where those key things come into play. But let's take a look at what Nate Garcia says. You heard it here first. People are severely underestimating investors' demand for spot XRP and Solana ETFs, just like they did with spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, just like your boy Crypto ZX also has been saying day in, day out. If you've been following the channel, we saw something. I think Bitcoin still had a lot of, demand, but Ethereum had very slow, demand in terms of the inflows on ETF. But we saw what happened just last month. We saw what happened over the last 2 months. And I think this just gives us a little bit of a better understanding what happens when these other assets, especially XRP and Solana ETFs, when they go live, what really does happen. And I think, it's going to shock a lot of people in terms of inflows than we realize. But let's take a look at what's happening with the price. Obviously, as of September the 1st, this is the first update for the month of September for XRP. You're looking at the dominance, still sitting at about 58.12%. But again, in a grand scheme of things, we're down quite a bit still, which is nice to see. Of course, if you're looking at Bitcoin, look at this, guys. We saw a very sharp bounce, almost 3%. We retested the 23.6 Fibonacci support line. So, a double bottom for the month of August. But look at this major bounce. Again, I think this is, due to bulls and the bears fighting, and the bulls obviously keep in control because we want to keep the price within the 23.6. If it's unable to, keep the price within the 23.6, then, we could see more downside, which I've indicated in my last update. But I think, bulls really won here. And I'm sure a lot of shorts got liquidated around this range, but it's still, quite early to be getting overly excited. We're still not out of the woods yet. I know a lot of people are going to be like, Crypto ZX, you're too harsh. But again, guys, we want to kind of be looking at the bigger picture. I've been talking to you guys about how, even though we've saw these fake bounces, I said, we're still not out of the woods. We could still see more, these levels being retested. And that's exactly what ended up happening. So I'm still not excited, but it is a nice start to the month of September. But it's still the long weekend, of course. But if you're looking at XRP right now, we did actually end up going below our August lows, believe it or not. We actually briefly touched below it. You can see this for yourself, $2.70. So we actually briefly fell below our August lows that we set for ourselves, on August the 2nd. But we have kind of reclaimed up to that $2.83 once again. So that's really nice to see. Remember, the dominance is really going to come in our way in terms of helping us, push much faster than you would expect when the demand really kicks in again. When the market starts heating up, I think, the dominance is really going to show the importance of it sitting where it's at now compared to where it was back in July. What I am about to say in this video will undoubtedly come as a surprise to everyone who possesses any amount of XRP. Please be aware of this fact. In addition to that, I'm going to demonstrate some pretty interesting statistics that I haven't really demonstrated in any of my prior videos. The liquidation heat map, the quantity of long positions in XRP against short positions, and the implications that this most likely has for the price of XRP are all included in this. Rather soon, according to a number of incidents that have occurred in the past. This place has some truly amazing content. Just before we move on to discussing the heat map, liquidations, and XRP, I would want to bring up something that is of the utmost significance. Additionally, this will have an effect on the price of XRP with regard to the middle term. There will be a delay in this happening. In the course of the next 3 months, this will be of great significance, but it will not take place immediately. In many of my films, I have discussed how difficult things are for the economies of a variety of countries, including the United States of America, Europe, Canada, and many more. The deficit in Canada reached a new high of $21 billion in the second quarter of 2025, an increase of $19.84 billion over the previous quarter's deficit of $21 billion. This is brand new information, and it comes after some data from the rest of the world that was not that impressive. I am sharing this with you because when there are massive deficits and a lot of spending by the government, things do not appear to be going in a positive direction. To put it another way, it always results in the same outcome. So what exactly is it? This is due to the fact that the government is beginning to stimulate the economy by printing more money. If you take a look at the charts concerning M2, you'll notice that we are currently at all-time highs for M2. However, we are also observing a rather peculiar connection between the data from M2 and investments such as stocks and cryptocurrency. As far as we can tell, the most important factor that we can observe is that the growth of M2 and stocks are extremely tightly connected to one another. If things continue to proceed in this manner, it is a little unsettling to think that you will be unable to make any investments, since you will be missing out on something that has the potential to alter the lives of a great number of people all over the world. In the first place, if you hold foreign currency and merely keep it in savings, you will not only miss out on all of the exciting events that will take place in this location, but your currency will also lose a significant amount of strength. But despite this, it is impossible to deny, isn't it? We will investigate the connections that exist between M2 and all of the stock markets. Simply examine the connection that exists between these two things. It's entirely out of control. You are unable to alter these aspects of the situation. All other assets, including XRP, Bitcoin, and the SP 500, are compatible with it. For this reason, we receive information such as this, that Canada, the United States of America, Europe, China, and in every other country, the majority of them are going to increase their earnings. In light of everything that has been discussed, I believe that the decision is becoming increasingly less ambiguous. At this point, I would like to discuss something that is of utmost significance: the quantity of longs and shorts in cryptocurrencies that are currently trading on the market, as well as the volume that is moving in both dire directions. This provides us with a clear picture of the activities of retail dealers. The figures on the economy have been presented to you. Following the data is not something that the majority of retail traders do, therefore I will now demonstrate how they do it, which is very different from what you may expect. The facts are not something that they pay attention to. They make decisions based on their emotions, which is a significant factor in the fact that a great number of smaller participants lose everything in these markets. In a moment, I will demonstrate why this is the case. But, for the time being, if you take a look at the overall picture of the long-short ratio of XRP, particularly in recent times, such as during the past 24 hours or 7 days, you will notice that there are more longs than shorts. But there are more shorts than there are longs. When compared to those that are optimistic on the market, this indicates that a greater number of people are negative on the market for the 24-hour 70 time frame. This is something that can be viewed on any platform that you choose. Make sure you check out Binance. Even more shorts are available. Take a look at some further shorts by OKX. The number of instances in which there are more longs is extremely rare. On the market as a whole, there are a great deal more short transactions than long transactions, and this is the case across all of the major platforms. Many billions of dollars are at stake in this situation. If there are, for example, $10 billion, $1 billion, or $5 billion more shorts than longs in the market, you can bet that the largest institutional investors are looking at this data and planning how to get those guys to sell so that they can get that money. This is a significant amount, especially due to the fact that we are discussing a great deal of leverage. At his point, I would want to discuss the closing heat map, which I consider to be of great significance. At this very moment, let's take a look at the XRP sale heat map. The most fascinating thing that we are observing is the fact that there are a great deal of liquidations occurring at these levels. Noting that there are liquidations ranging from a 287 to a 292 that total hundreds of millions of dollars is the most crucial item to take into consideration. Then, why is that the case? Even if the spread is relatively even, there are a few more shorts than longs. This is natural given the nature of the situation. For what reason are these short folks up here receiving such a large number of liquidations today? Because if we reach these numbers, these short sellers will, without a certain, lose all of the money they originally invested. In case you are unaware of this, in this area the longs that are going to be sold are located here. When compared to the shorts, there are a few, but not quite as many. What causes that to take place? This is due to the fact that retail traders typically make use of a significantly greater amount of leverage than institutions do. In all honesty, this is due to the fact that they are attempting to make money rapidly with a very limited amount of cash. Therefore, the most effective method for accomplishing this is to take out a loan at exorbitantly high interest rates, such as 50 times, 20 times, or 10 times the amount of the loan, right? Those are not the actions that institutions take. Rather, they simply own billions and billions of dollars in cash. An examination of these charts is going to take place. They are going to be astounded by the fact that we are able to get rid of folks for a total of $292. There should be a price increase to $292. We have to get rid of these guys, and once we do, you will witness a massive wick similar to the one we saw back here. They got rid of a lot of individuals at that level, which is fantastic, because we caused the majority of the problems that they encountered. That concludes the matter. By getting rid of those guys, they are able to make their money. Following the close of business, it is possible that they will sell the top. These institutions are happy, and so are the individuals who invested their money in them. They have just received a generous return on their investment. As a result, I believe that this is going to take place, and the likelihood of it happening is increasing. The majority of these short sellers who have a significant amount of debt are going to end up losing everything, in my opinion. It is possible to observe a tale that is extremely similar to this one taking place right now on Bitcoin and Ethereum for some reason. Due to the fact that there are a great deal more shorts and longs, particularly with higher leverage, it is probable that we may have a slight decline from this point on. As you can see, however, trade has been steady, and we are all aware that cryptocurrency trading is typically quiet on the weekends. I have a strong belief that things will heat up significantly the next week and become fully insane. So, I would like to extend an invitation to anyone who is currently watching my video to become a member of my Crypto Crusader free cryptocurrency trading club. For the sake of ensuring that you get the most out of this information, I will be putting all of my deals in that location as I progress. This will allow you to see for yourself that I am able to make you the highest money possible by providing you with access to every transaction that I have ever made, including entry and exits. On the other hand, I'm not just an empty talker. All of my deals are visible to you, so you can see that I'm not just talking the talk. As you can see, I am quite knowledgeable about what I am doing because I have made all of the money that